There we go. Thanks so much, Tom, for joining this little interview to talk about Teddy. I so appreciate it because I know I spoke to your mum, it was probably about 18 months ago on the phone. I know she's a bit of a technophobe, isn't she, and really shy. So I so appreciate you stepping in when I asked if you could just talk about Teddy's story, because it's a really, really interesting one for other owners to hear.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Yeah, so thank you so much. So just a reminder, Teddy's little, is he Jack Russell?
He's a Jack Russell, yeah.
And you know his history, where he came from?
I don't know exactly where he came from. What I do know is that he was homeless. So he had 3 sisters, and they lived with, I think it was the mother,
Okay.
and they were all homeless with the owner. And then the owner didn't want to get rid of them, but sadly, because of the circumstances, they sent the puppies, which was Teddy and his sisters, to a shelter, and that's where we got Teddy.
Oh,
So
and was he quite a frightened little puppy when you had him? Was he quite an anxious puppy?
when we got to the shelter, he was actually okay. So what we done is, because we fell in love with all the 4 puppies, so we didn't know which one to take. So we decided that we'd take the one that was giving us the most attention and seemed to be the happiest with us, and that was Teddy. He kept jumping at us the whole time. So we took Teddy, and then whilst we were in the house with Teddy, he was fine. It was mostly when anyone would knock on the door or when we take him out for a walk. So, and I think it came from nerves mostly. So if we take him for a walk, he'd be growling at people, barking at people, and it kind of almost looked quite aggressive. So we were a little bit concerned about that, even though he's such a small dog. And then
they don't know they're small, though, do they? The Jack Russells, they think they have the body of a German Shepherd.
yeah. We always say he's like a Jack Russell in the body of a Rottweiler.
Exactly, that's what they feel. Yeah.
And then when we take them, so when people come to the door, you know, whether it be the post or just it could be a friend. At first, he wouldn't be too happy, growling, barking. And yeah, he would look quite aggressive. And then we took him to a training school.
Yeah.
So we found a training school near where we lived, and the woman who was in charge of the training school, she said it was nerves, that he wasn't an aggressive dog, it was just nerves. So that helped, that calmed us down a little bit because we were a bit concerned about it. And then, yeah, after spending some time there, that did definitely help. Teddy loves hanging around with other dogs, he loves playing. But yeah, he was a bundle of nerves. And that didn't really change too much, to be honest. The training classes helped to get him to socialize with other dogs more and to get him to help him to feel okay around other people too. But he was still like quite nervous as well. So that's when we started to take a look into his diet then.
Right, lovely. And I think he also had a very itchy skin, is that right?
Yeah, Teddy suffers with his ears.
Yes, that's right, yes.
So he'll either be itching at his ear, but it'll get to the point where he's literally like really attacking in the inside of his ear to the point where it's quite red and raw. So it'll get very sore. And then he'll be biting his his toes as well, his nails. So he's been to the vet quite a few times with that. But the problem with the vet is that they prescribe like a steroid treatment.
Yeah.
Which gets rid of it quite quickly, but then it tends to come back quickly but more aggressively as well. So we really wanted to try a different type of way of treating the problem that wasn't really something so strong like a steroid, something a little bit more natural. So I was researching just for myself anyway about a plant-based diet. Because I've had like psoriasis and stuff, so that's where I started to research it, because I found out that changing your diet can actually help things like that and other health conditions. And then because I work in a gym, so it's quite close to the work I do anyway. And then I would talk to my mum about it, and then she just got really interested in herself. So she became plant-based, and she's been doing it for a long time now. She loves it, and she's seen a lot of changes. So she thought maybe that would help for Teddy as well.
Wonderful. And what about your, sorry, I'm being inquisitive here. Did it help your psoriasis with going plant-based?
Yeah, it really did.
Okay.
And I suffer with rosacea on my face.
Okay.
So I have quite pale skin, and then there'll be like blotches of red,
Yeah.
which I don't really like too much, and like dry skin. And yeah, going plant-based really helped with both those things as well.
Yeah, it shows. I mean, you've got a lovely complexion now,
Oh,
but it's so so. I mean, the things that we need for our skin, whether we're human or dogs, are exactly the same. So little
yeah,
Teddy chewing and scratching, because the ears are just an extension of the skin, really, just with a lot more folds. And I think his ears are sort of sticky uppy and flappy down, aren't they? They
yeah,
vary.
they come down a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. So which is a bit kinder, because a lot of the dogs with the very flappy ears have absolutely no air that goes through, and so they can suffer with really nasty ear infections. But it sounds like in Teddy's case, it was more just his sensitivity and allergy to something he was eating, something he was coming into contact with, but then obviously made worse by his little nature, because he's quite an anxious little dog, so chewing at his paws.
yeah.
And what was he eating prior to going plant-based? Was he on just a normal pet food, or?
He was, yeah. The brand was Lily's Kitchen.
Oh yes, okay. So he was
Um,
on,
so
yeah.
we heard really good things about that previous.
Mm,
So we felt like that was a good food for him.
yeah.
I think we read that in that food there was a lot more actual meat content in the food versus a lot of the supermarket food. I can't remember the word for it, but it's more like, rather than it being the actual meat, it's just other
Yeah.
bits of the animal just kind of chopped up and thrown in there just to fill it up.
Yeah, although they
Um,
do use a lot of marketing, because most of the food
yeah,
is going to be the byproducts that are used, and they do cover that up a lot with saying, oh no, they're using human grade type meat. But how long, so when he transitioned, I do remember the phone call with your mum, and she actually sounded quite desperate, really, because she, just as you say, she didn't want to keep giving this medication, which we know isn't good for ourselves or for little dogs, is to constantly give steroids and skin treatment. And how long did it take when she transitioned him to plant-based to notice a difference?
so she sent me a message, so I was going to read it.
Okay. Oh,
He's been on it for 12 months now. And to be honest, I think we've seen him change quite fast. It wasn't like a long period, it was very fast, yeah.
good.
And yeah, like there's been like the very occasional flare up with his ears, but I think Teddy makes it worse because he itches at it so much. Rather than it being bad to begin with, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whereas before it was quite bad on returns. That's pretty much gone.
Wow.
And in terms of, I think the biggest change has been Teddy's behaviour.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's a lot more relaxed, which is one of the best things. So
Perfect.
taking him out for a walk now it's a joy rather than a chore. Whereas before, yeah, so before when we first got him, it felt more like a chore just because you knew that when you took him out, it was going to be full of having to try and keep him away from people as much as possible. You know, we go out at a certain time, so we live right by a school, so we'd avoid the school.
Yeah.
Around like 3 o'clock when other kids would come out. We take them to the field right at the back where there wouldn't be any other dogs or people. Whereas now, like Teddy loves other dogs, so taking him to the main park, they have like a section cut off for dogs to play. He
Yeah.
absolutely loves it in there because he gets to see all of his friends,
Oh,
and
that's so
he'll approach other people, he'll let them stroke them. He loves attention. He's like such a big change. So now it's a joy to take him out. It feels the way it should feel when you take a dog for a walk. Like
yeah.
it's a nice experience, yeah.
Yeah, you've got a calm, relaxed little dog, and the food that he's having, is he having mainly? I think your mum is mainly home cooking. I think she's wonderful, isn't she?
She cooks absolutely everything, yeah.
Oh, she's fantastic. Yes,
She
yeah,
everything that Teddy gets is, yeah, it's completely plant-based, and it's
homemade with love.
everything's homemade.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like the top dog chef.
She absolutely is, and because I know she buys the Just Be Kind supplement, and I think she also buys the Fleetful packs that are just ready-made packs full of everything that the teddy needs, to
Yeah,
make it so easy. And so what the Just Be Kind supplement has, and what the Fleetful packs have as well, is they've obviously got the addition of all the extra nutrients that the teddy needs, extra prebiotics for gut health, the extra iron, zinc, calcium. But the other one is the addition of extra amino acids. I mean, you who owns a gym, obviously you're so aware of those essential amino acids that you need, but certainly dogs need the addition of some of those amino acids in their diet, because a lot of them can only be found in meat. And so we
yeah,
tend to add them into the supplement. And one of them that we add in is actually called tryptophan, which is an amino acid that's the precursor to serotonin, which is the calming. It has all the calming effects in our body, the calming hormone. So actually, and plant-based foods are known to be naturally calming as well. I mean, the hemp that's used in the Fleetful pack as well they're all wonderfully calming. They just keep your system happy, because your system's basically getting the right nutrients as well. So that would have had a huge impact on plus Teddy's obviously getting everything he needs in the most natural way, but that would have had that huge impact on his behavior.
yeah, and a house.
Yeah, and it has, yeah, which is so wonderful to hear, because that's what you want him for. You want him for a little pet. You just want him to be, and you want him to be happy at the end of the day. And when you see him acting aggressively, it is a sign of such anxiety in the dog. But and then you just don't have a happy little dog. But actually to have them, when you mentioned how lovely that he's got a separated area where he goes and plays with his friends now. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because it's like it's
Mm,
easier for us. So obviously we enjoy taking
yes,
him for a walk, but we also want him to enjoy it and
that's
him to
right.
feel relaxed. Like it's important
Yeah.
to make him happy too, and it really does that. Yeah,
Yeah, wonderful. Oh, no, you've been such a star, Tom. Thank you so much for this, because it's just lovely for other owners to hear, and other owners who may have similar issues with. I mean, obviously he's a small dog, but older dogs can also suffer with his anxiety issues, especially rescue dogs that come from an environment that Teddy's come from, because when dogs are puppies around the ages of 6 to 12 weeks is a crucial time in their development. They need to be under the they need to be with people and with new experiences as much as possible. They need to be socialized so much. And obviously, as a puppy, he was just with his mum, with the homeless person who had him before, and these other puppies. So he was never properly socialized. So
yeah,
the start that he had wasn't great for him, for his behavior, but the home that he now has with you and your mum is just wonderful, because you've brought out the best in him. He feels comfortable, he feels happy, and he's getting, I mean, the ultimate is what your mum is doing, is a homemade balanced diet, choosing the ingredients that she wants, is the top food that he can have. I think I also did recommend to your mum, and I'm wondering if you take it as well for your skin, which is fantastic, is the omega-3 algae oil. Um,
yeah. My mum's told me about that actually. I haven't took it
great.
yet. Um,
Yeah. No, do, because the one I recommend for dogs is actually, it's a human one. It's got one of the highest levels of the DHA and EPA, that are the two types of omega-3. Because as I always mention, is um, obviously fish bladders, I mean, fish oil is where we get our omega-3s from, but where the fish get their omega-3s from is from eating the algae. So instead of taking the fish liver or the cod liver, you actually go straight to the source, which is
yeah,
the algae oil. It's grown beautifully. It's probably the most sustainable farming you can do in Holland and in Germany. They have these huge what called bioreactors on land, and they actually grow it. And so so yes, it's the purest form of omega-3. And then the one I recommend, the Vegetology, also has a little bit of vitamin D3, the plant-based vitamin D3, which again is so important
Yeah.
for calcium intake in our body, and for our immunity. So I'm sure your mum, well, the recipes would also call for adding that. So I know your mum would, if she's following the Just Be Kind recipes, she would be using it. But yeah, for you as well, definitely one that's worth. I take it. My whole family. In fact, it sorted my son. My son also does. Well, he doesn't work in a gym. He works in a hospital at the moment, but he's also all into his bodybuilding and his fitness, and he's had eczema all his life.
Yeah.
And when he started, and I used to give him fish oils prior to being plant-based, and when he started taking the algae oil, he's never had a problem. So incredible. I find
Oh, that's
algae
great.
oil is
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, so definitely worth for you. The Vegetology is the one that's the most cost effective as well. Great. Thank you so much, Tom. Really appreciate this. And say a huge thanks to your mum as well. With everything she's doing. Teddy's in perfect hands with her.